Holy shit, guys. It finally happened. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and this is the first sneak peek for the upcoming update, and it's not Endgame Part 3, it's somehow better. This is Justice for Storm, and presumably it's an X-Men update that will in some way coincide, and it's a coincidence that it's coming out so soon around the time of the new Dark Phoenix movie. So this is blowing my mind right now. I could not have predicted this, and honestly, when I think I know exactly what Netmarble's going to do, they surprise me. And even when I think I know what I want from them in an update, they surprise me with something that I didn't even know I wanted more than another Endgame update. We will talk about what this means for a third Endgame update and what it means for the existing uniforms, i.e. Iron Man. But first, we have to give it up. Huge round of applause for all you Storm fans out there. Hashtag Justice for Storm, and they have recognized you. This mutant's downpour of fans may be happy to hear that justice has finally arrived. They're literally using your tagline. Honestly, guys, as much shit as we give Marvel Future Fight, as much shit as we give the devs, they have been so good in the last year and a half at not only listening to the community, but engaging with the community. And think of another game developer that puts out updates that literally uses the taglines that the fans come up with to promote their new updates. Like, this is the ultimate fan service. So I really have to recognize that. It's quite amazing. And even if you scroll up on my feed and or if you follow yourself, Danny Koo, who's one of the senior producers over at Marvel, where's the Justice for Storm guy? Laughing emoji. And so yeah, this is pretty amazing, and it gets better. So if you go to the actual link and you see here, you copy this link, you only have to copy it up to the underscore right here. You copy that and you go ahead and paste it in, and you put in the word Storm after that with a capital S. You will see the following teaser, and I love these sort of mini puzzles. This is a beautiful new uniform for Aurora. And I gotta say, it's looking amazing. Now, it's not the look that she has in Dark Phoenix. So for those of you that are immediately hoping for Dark Phoenix, that's not the case here. But this is from X-Men Red, which is a comic series run that ties into X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue. That was around, the past 2 years, 2017 and 2018. Now, there's a lot of, complicated cancellations and rebooting with X-Men and Marvel because, as you guys know, for the longest time, we couldn't even get the X-Men and Marvel Future Fight, and there weren't even movies being made about them because they were owned by Fox. But more recently, they obviously loosened up the restrictions because in 2017, in June, we had the glory days of Wolverine and Jean Grey over there. And then more recently, Disney acquired Fox because they're going to become a giant monopoly and control the whole world. So yeah, what does that mean? It means we're getting another X-Men update, baby, and we're getting this amazing look for Storm. Now, I do have to say there's a bit of graphical errors over here. I do have to point that out. I'm not going to leave any stone unturned. The update, I mean, this uniform update looks beautiful for Storm, but they need to fix whatever's going on with her hand because there's stuff missing. But now there's even more. There's actually so much to get to. It's beautiful. If you go over to the Netmarble forums, which you can also find from the homepage, and you'll see my goofy face. If you go right over here and you click this, I think it's still my goofy face. Hopefully it is my, yeah, well, you can't see my face now, but you see Alfonso's. But there I am, peekaboo. Anyways, if you go on the official forum, you will see that, why did I say peekaboo? That was really corny. It says, CM Fragment reporting in here, throughout my life as an agent, I always make preparations before going into a mission. However, there are things I nor you can ever fully prepare for, and one of them is the weather. So they immediately make a reference to the weather, and they immediately make a reference to Storm. And then they go on to say, I'm actually cutting off the text, so I'm going to try to fix this. 1 second here. There we go. I have received reports of a massive storm where we are heading. A storm so strong you could feel it in every cell of your body. They're really hyping up Storm here specifically. However, as an agent, you're expected to rise well and above all obstacles, including the weather. Tremendous storm. The wind was extremely strong. What clues did we find? And then they talk about Storm. Now, here's the thing, guys. Tremendous storm. A storm so strong you can feel it in the cells of your body. Storm Tier 3. That's basically what I think they're hinting at. They're hinting at Storm Tier 3, which is insane but it fits because we have fewer blast tier 3s than any other type right now. You know, we've got 4 combat tier 3s, not including Black Panther, who I don't have. We've got 3 universal tier 3s, which I have all. We have 4 speed tier 3s, of which I'm only missing Spider-Man. And we only have 3 blast tier 3s because I'm missing Iron Man. So the next tier 3 was either going to be universal again or blast. And the last 2 tier 3s, not including Wolverine, were both universal. We had CM, and then Wolverine, and then Thanos. So the year has started off combat universal, and now it's time for the blast to get another. On top of that, it's another mutant. So this is insane. I'm not saying for sure it's Storm. I'm just saying I strongly believe it's Storm because of the wording in that sneak peek, which is bananas. So we're going to get a new look for Storm. Hopefully we're getting a complete rework for Storm because she needs it desperately to come back into the meta. She was never really in the meta. And then a tier 3 on top of that, which is crazy. And I want to shout out immediately to Darren, is one of the people in the live stream on Twitch, because he had an amazing idea. You know, when Luna Snow, with her leadership, when she enters a match, you have a chance to trigger the character's theme song. How amazing would it be, not music, but how amazing would it be if when you use Storm on the team, not even as a leadership, just when you use her on your team, or maybe as a leadership, the weather changes on the stage and there's rain. How fucking cool would that be? That would be insane. And it would be really cool if Storm gave buffs to all X-Men allies, kind of the way that Thing gives buffs to all Fantastic Four allies. I think it's an amazing thing for them to do and to create that synergy that they've created with the Fantastic Four, but to do that with the X-Men, because I really think they need to focus more on these kind of clans, these tags, these sort of tribes within Marvel Future Fight. The Asgard tribe, the Fantastic Four tribe, the Avengers tribe, the X-Men tribe, the Brotherhood of Mutants tribe, and they can you know, make so much more interesting synergies, and then they can, you know, it's just more fun for us to play. It mimics the comics more, and then they can build up these characters in specific roles that accomplish things. And while, you know, individually they might be decent, but then as a group they're so strong. And then on top of that, in the details page, they could add that as an ability. Instead of the Fantastic Four ability, it could be the X-Men ability. I really think this is something they should try to tap into. I think there's a lot of potential for this, and they can really sell you on building up an entire team because of that team synergy, rather than just pitching you and trying to sell you one character, i.e. Storm. Because once you get Storm, if she has that crazy synergy, then you're going to want to collect all the X-Men to take advantage of it. Now, I've put Jean Grey and Gambit next to her because there are other possibilities. I don't want to discount the idea that it's not going to be Storm getting a tier 3, but it's going to be another blast type. Gambit and Jean Grey are kind of outside choices, I would say, because for now we don't have any sneak peeks on them. Secondly, Jean Grey was way too strong for way too long, and giving another native tier 2 a tier 3, we've had 3 already this year, Mr. Fantastic, Wolverine, and Thanos. It's kind of killing our resources to have so many native tier 2s getting their tier 3. Gambit, on the other hand, is a premium character, so that would be really appealing from a business perspective to make that money, but he hasn't been around as long as Storm, and he honestly doesn't deserve it the way that Storm does, and it looks like they're finally giving Storm what she deserves. Now, if we're going to dive into a little bit more of the X-Men Red lineup, we can look at this image and we can see, and we can kind of speculate on who we could be getting new character-wise and uniform-wise. Now, the exciting thing is we see Jean Grey. And Jean Grey and the whole X-Men Red series, it comes after something called Phoenix Resurrection, which is where basically Jean Grey comes back to life. She resurrects. And so in X-Men Red particularly, and I'm imagining they named it Red because Jean Grey is kind of red-colored, she becomes a leader of this new X-Men group. And they go through like their ups and downs and whatever, but she gets a new look, and so she could definitely get a new look in the comics, or sorry, in the game from the comics, because I don't think they're gonna go the route of Dark Phoenix the movie. They could, but I don't think they will, because this first sneak peek is straight out of the comics. In addition to Jean Grey getting a uniform as a possibility, we could see a uniform for Gambit because he's got a slightly different look. It's quite similar. A lot of Gambit's looks are similar to this one, but it is technically different. We could also see another uniform for Nightcrawler. Now, Nightcrawler got a uniform not that long ago, so it's a little bit less likely, but some people have said that it could be a synergy uniform for his X-Force. It could only cost 630 crystals like Captain Marvel, and you wouldn't have to upgrade it again. I think it's kind of an outside chance. I don't think Netmarble should try to oversaturate the game with too many uniforms, but I know for Nightcrawler fans, this uniform wasn't enough, so if they made another uniform that made him even stronger, plus the beard, which everyone loves, that might be appealing enough, even though you're purchasing another uniform like 2 months later after the last one. We could get a Gambit uniform. We could also get an X-23 uniform. Again, her uniform hasn't been out for that long, but it has been out longer than the Nightcrawler one, so it's another it's another thing to consider as a synergy bonus and the possibility of that. In terms of new characters, we have 4 there from that original image. We have, of course, the most recognizable one, Namor, huge character in Marvel Future Fight, lots of ties to Storm, lots of ties to Black Panther, and a bunch of other characters, the Illuminati, ties to Mr. Fantastic and Iron Man and Doctor Strange. So that's a huge one, and that's a major fan favorite. Then we also have Honey Badger, who I personally hate, but whatever. We have other characters that I honestly don't know because I haven't read X-Men Red, Trinary, and Gentle. So we'll have to see. A lot of these characters, some of these characters are quite obscure. In addition to that, if we dive into X-Men Gold and Blue, because I don't want to limit this to X-Men Red, it opens up a ton of roster spots. So you have the possibility of Shadowcat, you have the possibility of a uniform for Colossus, Old Man Logan, new characters Iceman, new characters Pyro, Polaris, Dakin, another uniform for Magneto or Angel or Beast or Magic or Rogue. So I'm mentioning all of these characters because traditionally it's been very difficult to guess what's coming out of an X-Men update. I mean, they threw together new character Gambit, new character Nightcrawler, and Sentinel, and they called that an X-Men update. And those 3 characters don't really have all that much in common, where you would see one and you'd be like, oh yeah, we're definitely going to get Sentinel and Nightcrawler after seeing Gambit. You wouldn't necessarily put those together. A lot of us thought Rogue was going to get a uniform because not that much time before the Gambit sneak peek was added, Rogue had married Gambit in the comics. So we were like, yeah, perfect timing for Rogue to get a buff. Completely missed that boat. So historically, it's been very hard to imagine, or not hard to imagine, hard to accurately predict what's going to be coming for an X-Men update. So I wanted to give you guys the full scope of speculation. I wanted to throw everything and the kitchen sink at you, not only to get you hype as fuck, but also to give me an excuse to say Iceman, because we need Iceman or I'm loading up the chopper. But seriously, I'm actually really happy that they're finally giving Storm her dues. Hopefully they go above and beyond for her upgrade, because recently they haven't been that OP with some of these uniforms, especially when it comes to X-Men. People had some complaints about Wolverine's uniform. People had a lot of complaints about Nightcrawler's uniform. So hopefully Netmarble kind of goes overboard with Storm. Rather she be OP than not, and then people end up getting disappointed after getting super hyped. As far as what Storm needs, I mean the whole shebang. She really has one iframe on her 4th skill, and she's got a guard hit on her 3rd skill. This is it. She's an old character. She has a channeling skill, which is cool, and then that's it. I mean, she's got a nice, interesting tier 2 passive where as she does damage, she buffs her own damage. So it kind of snowballs, but it has a fairly low cap. It caps out at 30% energy attack bonus, which is quite small. You've got characters like Sharon Rogers who go up to 220% bonus. Now, this bonus is basically permanent for the duration of the fight, so that's, a little bit different, 30% permanent versus 220% that has to be reapplied every single time. But I really would like to see them do something with like charges and have her build up charges after doing certain skills. They have it already in the game in a way with a character like Magic, and they can just copy and paste the kind of architecture or the framework of the skill and the way that it kind of counts, but just have something different happen. So in Magic's case, and you know what? Magic could get a uniform because she's an X-Men Blue, I believe. In Magic's case, her mixed magic passive, when you use 3 skills next effect activates after 3 uses, she gets a 10% recovery. So instead of doing that, Storm could have something where after 3 skill uses, not basic attacks, but after you use 3 different skills like 1, 2, 3, or 5, 4, 3, or 1, 5, 4, it will apply a 10-second buff to her damage. Let's say like a 50% attack bonus and a 25% lightning bonus, something like that. Or after she does a certain number of attacks, it will automatically unleash some sort of AoE that persists, kind of like Magneto's lightning that kind of circulates around him. And so you can stack that up and have that sort of damage, either whether it's persistent or whether it's a buff, and use it that way to sort of imply that the weather is just kind of like taking you down and kind of building up, because, you know, 1 tornado is pretty difficult to deal with. 10 tornadoes and you're fucking dead. So that's kind of the implication, that's kind of what's being implied. And other games do the same thing. Marvel Strike Force and I believe Contest of Champions also has similar mechanics where as you pile on more damage, Storm gets stronger. So hopefully Netmarble does a lot of work for Storm, because we're kind of expecting it at this point. But if they don't, you can definitely blame me for pumping all this hype and blowing smoke up your ass. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of the Storm teaser, and let me know what you think of this next update. If you're wondering when I think it's going to land, my prediction is the 28th, 29th. So it would be like really late on the 28th, i.e. early morning on the 29th. That's not that far away. It could be another week away, but it's a long time to stretch out sneak peeks and stuff like that. Finally, before we go, I just remembered I have to talk about the Endgame Part 3 possibility. And I was actually going to make a video about the possibility of a 3rd update for Avengers Endgame. I'm glad that I didn't, because we got this sneak peek. But it still kind of leaves us with the question, what's going to happen to Iron Man's uniform, and what's going to happen to the other Avengers Endgame uniform changes that Netmarble implied that they were going to make? Well, they can always just tag them on to the end of this update. There's nothing stopping them from throwing in some buffs at the end for Iron Man and for a couple of other characters. Better to give them more time, and better that they not rush those changes than to demand that they do things in parallel. Better to just combine them, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's going to spoil the update or ruin the theme of the update, because the X-Men are going to dominate it. They're about as popular, if not more popular, than the Avengers, and then we can basically get a double whammy update. We can get new characters and new tier 3s and new buffs for existing X-Men, and we can also enjoy even more powerful Avengers Endgame characters who are going to carry us basically to the end of the year with how much insane hype is building up here. And this is not even talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. This is nuts. I am honestly loving Marvel Future Fight the last 2 months. The updates, the characters, and the uniforms have been completely out of this world. That's just what I think. Anyways, guys, hit me up in the comments, Twitter, Discord, etc. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.